what is up, everybody? This is Alex once again for the last time with our Core 2020 limited set review. We're talking about golds, artifacts, and lands, and everything else in between, which is nothing actually, so that was redundant and pointless. But Ben is back again. If you watched our video just minutes ago, where we finished that up for the...
I should have done a wardrobe change and just to throw people off. I didn't even think of it.
I've actually done that before. I've gone and changed shirts for different colors.
I've never shown these off. My girlfriend got these for me on Amazon. Look at these Magic the Gathering pajamas.
Those are the best thing ever. This just turned into QVC.
She just bought me those on Amazon like a few weeks ago. She's like, "Look what I got you," and I'm like, "Oh, so I'm gonna marry you?" Is what I'm hearing. Great.
Yeah. If you tapped it, you should have put a ring on it or something.
Do you understand how much I love Magic? And then I'm also dating you, so I already like you more than Magic.
Yeah,
right?
that's...
Magic peanut butter.
So,
all right.
Anyway... Let's jump into these gold cards here. If you have not watched one of our set reviews before, we are operating on a 4-point scale, 1 to 4, 1's being absolute trash, 2 being your more generic filler, usual creatures and spells are what's your deck's going to be made out of there. 3's are your more premium spells, removal, creatures, things of that nature, and your 4's are the absolute bombs that will finish a game for you single-handedly. We also have S for sideboard cards and B's for build around me, which usually take a certain deck to be built around it to actually function properly. Yeah. So, let's just jump right into things. We have ourselves a Corpse Knight, a black and a white zombie knight, uncommon 2/2. Whenever another creature enters a battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life.
I think it's like a 2.5 or a build around at a much higher number.
Yeah, 100% with you there. The only downside about this guy is that he gets outclassed really fast by, as the casting cost goes up. He doesn't really scale with power wise, but he is good for a 2-drop. And I think there's a good go wide black white token deck maybe that plays a lot of Raise the Alarms and other mass creature. I think some of the angels would obviously go in this deck as well. That you could probably make some good use out of the drain, and eventually he just kind of sits back and lets you play out creatures and drain opponents. It's interesting that he doesn't actually gain you the life, but I guess that's not a very zombie-esque thing to do.
Yeah, and there are definitely some the altar that I know you weren't too high on, but I think is a pretty good card. Bloodclad.
Oh yeah.
Boneclad Necromancer.
Yeah.
Card where you are making some tokens, and especially with the splashability in this set, because you have Evolving Wilds, you have Alternate Gain lands, you have Scry lands, you have Gift of Paradise.
Yep.
So I think maybe even a oh god. What's his colors?
Abzan?
Huh? Abzan. Tokens. Yeah,
okay.
Abzan tokens.
Okay.
Might be a playable. I don't know with this card, just because if you're the green, you want it to be more of a splash of 1 and then not have your 2 drops, so they're a little conflicting.
So it's a green-white deck splashing this is what I think what the deck looks like texture-wise.
Yes, and if you have, I don't remember if the lands but you do have, at least if you get the Scry lands, you do have the green-black and the white-black Scry land.
Yeah, I'm more interested in getting the common tap lands that gain you life. The Scry lands are kind of a pipe.
Well, it's another in the color, so you have.
Yeah, that's.
You have 2 chances, but you have another chance to get them, and you have Evolving Wild.
Yeah, the common that I do really like with this guy, I'm looking for him right now. It's
What color?
Let's see. It is the black zombie that makes a token for each copy of itself in the graveyard, and I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, I'm looking up. You said it's a common or uncommon?
It's a common. I forget the name of the card all of a sudden. Wow, and I'm looking at my list.
Undead Servant.
Yeah, Undead Servant. Yeah, that's the one. So with that,
I put it up on stream.
This becomes really powerful here, I think. But just for example of synergy there.
Yeah, this is the Goblin Gathering. This is what Goblin Gathering needed, other than that uncommon, to have a good payoff to do this strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And our next gold uncommon, we have a Creeping Trailblazer. Red and a green for an elemental uncommon. 2/2 other elementals you get +1/+0, and you can pay 2, a green and a red, to give Creeping Trailblazer a +1/+1 until the end of turn for each elemental you control.
solid build around 2.5.
Yeah. This thing becomes very scary when you double activate this thing and you have the elemental trample giver.
Yeah, I mean that means you're paying 8 mana to activate it twice, and at that point you're winning the game. Though that's not like that's a win more, like close the game. That's not a.
I mean, I don't know if I don't like win more for sure, but I think just like it's your kill shot. Like I'm just gonna swing this one time and kill you. It's fun. I can get behind it.
Yeah, I mean if you have, Chandra's Ember Cat.
Yep.
And you're able to
curve paradise
pretty quickly into it. Yep, green green ramps. You have some elemental ramp. Definitely, I'm definitely high on this card.
Double activate doesn't seem so impossible now.
2.5, 2.5, maybe 3, depending on like how it's being built around.
Yeah, like all of the gold cards here obviously are sort of like this is what this color pair is doing in this limited format, and obviously have a higher build around me element to them than a non-gold uncommon, but the power level on these things is insanely high if it's in the right deck. Yeah. Next up, we've got Empyrean Eagle, 1 blue-white bird spirit, uncommon, 2/3, flying, and it gives other flying creatures you control +1/+1.
So it's a flying lord. This card is 2.75.
Yes.
And we move on.
Yeah. I do want to just call it the fact that I think the blue-white flyer deck in this format is absurdly gross, and it's nice that there's so many green creatures that can sort of tag those flyers, but
and plummet
and plummet too, yeah. But I think just like blue-white flyers is just a disgusting deck in this limited format. Very, very good stuff. But yeah, moving right along to a card I'm super hyped on for my Amara EDH deck.
Go for it. All you, bud.
Ironroot Warlord, 1 green-white, Tree Folk Soldier, uncommon. It's a star 5 with power equal to the number of creatures you control, and you can pay 3 green-white and make a 1/1 soldier token. I love this card.
So it's a 3 mana 1/5 at worst.
At worst.
Yeah, I mean, mana sink.
Yeah, that's the name of the game on this thing. There's a couple of things that will win you a game of limited. A good mana sink and not one that costs 8 mana.
Chill out.
A good mana sink and just being able to go super wide, and a go wide mana sink is absurd. This card is really good.
And the fact that you have the other uncommon, the one we just went over.
Woodland Champion is this thing's best friend.
Yeah.
If that's your turn 2 into turn 3, and then turn 4 is like something else you don't care, and then turn 5 is just start making tokens.
Yeah, if you ever listen to like Limited Resources, which is another great like limited podcast, they'll talk about like the uncommons are a lot of what you build around. Yeah. And if you see these uncommons, you start building your decks around these. And the Trailblazer, the Eagle, and the Warlord, if you see them in draft and you pull them, you start focusing on what they can do.
Yeah.
And you build your decks around them, because they are what built those will win you games more often than rares. I've seen zero rare decks win because people pass these uncommons and you're like, I have 3 Warlords, how did that happen?
Yeah. So like here's my dream scenario. Turn 2, Woodland Champion. Turn 3, Ironroot Warlord. Turn 4, Wolf Rider Saddle. Get you dead.
Yeah, and then just 5 just pumping all your mana.
Yeah. Moving on to this next card, which unfortunately isn't very good. We have Kalia, the Zenith Seeker.
I like this.
Well, it's
not
cool,
unlimited,
but it's not unlimited. Yeah, so red, white, black for a legendary creature, human cleric, mythic rare, 3/3 vigilance, flying vigilance, and it also has... When Kalia, Zenith Seeker, enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an angel card, a demon card, and/or a dragon card from among them. Put them into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order.
Whew. Hold on? I just gotta check.
What are we looking for here?
I'm looking for demons, dude.
There's only 2.
One's a rare.
They're both rare.
LOL. Hey, Rotting Regisaur. Love that card.
Yeah, they're both rare. So.
Yeah, they are.
That's the biggest hit against this deck.
Any dragons?
There's 2.
Are they both rare?
One's a rare, one's an uncommon.
All right, great. So this card's never hitting. Next.
Oh, no. Because that's the thing. Because the angels is where Kalia wants to play. There are common angels in this set that are ridiculous. And I think that's going to be her sort of best common option for that. You know, if you can hit.
You have to still pay their mana costs.
Well, yes.
Splashing 3, playing a double white pip, or
I think you're like splashing this in red white or black white, and you know that's just where it goes. But I think, you know, hitting, because like 6 cards, that's a lot of, because like if so like here's like the breakdown for it. So you draw your opening hand of 7. Your deck has 33 cards left in it. By the time that you've cast this, you've drawn 3 more cards or 4 more cards, you know, depending on, you know, where she's falling on the curve. So you've got about 30 cards left in your deck, which gives you roughly a 25% chance of hitting if you've got one of these creature types in your deck, which isn't terrible. And I think if you've got an abundance of the common and uncommon angels, which are quite powerful, some of them gain you life, some of them make your creatures bigger. There's an upside to being able to hit with this. And she's still a 3/3 Vigilant Flyer, which is nothing to scoff at, but I don't think she's a definite build around, unfortunately. I just don't jam her in any deck just because I can.
Yeah. And also, a big issue I have with her is when you are splashing, you generally splash for late game, not early game.
Yeah.
And this is a very early game splash.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
I give like a 2.5 in the right deck, like 3.5.
That's where I landed as well. Just like your average deck is going to be a 2.25, 2.5. Yeah.
And you only get the effect once, by the way. It's an ETB, not an attack.
Yeah, that's the other thing. She's not as good as old
attack. You'd be like, cool. If it was like attack and look at 3 instead of enter, look at 6, I think it'd be just a better card overall.
Oof, that's scary though.
That's
a good card right there.
It's a mythic though, so
yeah, it is a mythic rare. Yeah, much like this next card is also a mythic. Kethis, the Hidden Hand, green, white, black, legendary creature, elf advisor, mythic rare, 3/4. Legendary creatures you cast cost 1 less to cast, and you can exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard until your end of turn. Each legendary card in your graveyard gains. You may play this card from your graveyard. Let me ask you a question, Ben. Is this even remotely playable in Limited?
0, move on.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
EDH, fun.
oh yeah, it's absolutely absurd in EDH, but let's be real here. The likelihood of you having any additional legendary creatures that can actually play with this, next to none.
In Dominaria, I would have loved to see this card.
Oh, it would have been insane. Absolutely insane. Speaking of insane cards, Kaikar, Wind's Fury.
All right, let me do this one.
All right, go for it. Kaikar away.
It's 4 mana. It's 1 in Jeskai, so 1 blue-red white for a 3/3 flying bird wizard. Whenever
Already
you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white spirit token with flying. And because, you know, why not?
Mythic rare. It has to do something else.
Yeah. Sacrifice a spirit. Add a red mana to your mana pool. You play this, you build Jeskai spells, and you're very happy with your life choices.
Oh, I don't even think you have to build Jeskai. Like, you're in any of the sub combinations here. So you're like either blue red, blue white, or red white. Like that's you splash and you go ham with it.
I think you go blue-white flyers with a splash of red.
Oh yeah, I think
is what you do.
Yeah, I don't think this is as good as like either blue-red or blue-white is where it's best. Red-white is passable, but because you have blue in your deck at that point, you're able to draw cards and find the land you need to cast Kaikar here.
Yeah.
And also blue-red and blue-white have the most ability to cast, you know, instant speed spells and non-creature spells to just fire this thing off. And adding red mana with the spirits is kind of whatever. I think you just amass like an Air Force, slam Imperial Eagle, and kill your opponent in one shot.
Well, if you look at cards like Shock is 0 mana, deal 2 damage when this is out on the board.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
If you look at like Raise the Alarm, it's 2 mana, get 3 power. So I think I would love, like, when we're talking about earlier, we're talking about like 4-color decks.
Yeah.
I think if we were to do 4-color, this is the card that you go 4-color, no black. I think if you can support it with Gift of Paradise, I think there's enough green cards in the late game for tokens or even combat tricks to just make spirits.
Wow.
And then you have token payoffs. I think that would be greedy. It would be super greedy, but I think if you're going to see a 4-color deck, people are going to do it around him. I'm not saying you should, but I think that's what you're going to see.
Bold claim. I think you're wrong.
I'm not saying you should, but that's what I think people are going to do. I think people are going to see this and be like...
I wouldn't even bother going for the third color. Like,
I wouldn't... Or fourth color.
Or the fourth color, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. I'm not saying you should, but I have a feeling if people see this, there are going to be people who are going to be like, let's just try it with 5 color. Like, if you... I don't think it'll be good.
Oh, no, it's not good at all. No.
But I could see if you have the gift of paradises or anything and you want to try for it, I think it's more reasonable to double splash, like go blue-white flyers and then splash like the green-red for the extra token and the spells.
No, I think at that point
I know it would be good, but...
I think at that point you're in green-blue or green-red and just praying that you can splash the white or the blue.
Yeah, that also might be what someone does, is they're green-white, they're green-white tokens, and they're like, I have 2 Gifts of Paradise, and I have enough
and some dual lands. Yeah, it's a greedy deck, but I can see it. It's cool.
But I think the best deck this will be blue-white flyers. Just because, unlike in Constructed, you don't have 4 of these in your deck to guarantee to hit it.
That's very true.
While it is a very powerful card, the issue you're going to run into is if you only have 1 of them and you don't see it the entire game, and your deck revolves around this one card.
Your deck does need to function, yeah.
Your deck doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I think blue-white flyers, especially with the next card we're about to talk about, I think blue-white flyers or Jeskai flyers with like a slight splash in red.
Yeah, I was about to say because this next card is blue-red.
Yeah, with splash in red.
Okay.
Is how you're going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, like, Blue-White Flowers is always a good limited deck as it is. The fact that Lightning Stormkin here flies, I think, is kind of... It's good, but I think, Blue-Red Elementals is just also a good deck as well. It's a different texture of deck. It's not as tempo-oriented. It's more of a beat-down deck, but I still think, if we're talking about Kaikar in an abstract sense, Kaikar goes in Blue-White or Blue-Red, I think, equally well.
Yeah. Now here's a question for you. So, I just want like your opinion, your thoughts on this. Yeah. I just need to check one thing.
Kaikar, by the way, I gave a 3, and then for a build around me because they definitely need some support for it.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at, and the reason why I'm going off of. Okay, so we have just the 1. Oh, we have a 2. Okay. Well, no, just the 1. So I'm looking at if you open enough, or even if you only open, let's say, 2 tapped lands in green. Okay. Do you think you go greedy enough with this to put in if you have a Warlord? Or if you have maybe not the 2-1, but if you have something like the Warlord, or if you have a black one and you want to put Corpse Knight in, do you think you can? Would you justify splashing that 1 card if you have enough of the tap lands? Like if you have 2 or 3 tap lands and like enough where it doesn't throw your mana base down, and the only off colors is the black.
So am I playing Jeskai with black?
Yeah, you're splashing Jeskai with black, or you're splashing green for either the Warlord or like the Corpse Knight, let's say. Because those are the 2 I'm looking at for tokens, where that would be the best.
The Warlord. Wait, which Warlord are we talking about?
Iron, the new one. Okay.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So I don't go for the Corpse Knight. I'm happy playing the Warlord simply because the Warlord makes more tokens and it cares about tokens itself. Corpse Knight is a little bit too low impact. And if I'm trying to play a 4-color deck without any green and limited, I'm stretching myself really thin. And at least with in my green deck, I can at least be like green-white base and have, the red and blue there what I'm splashing off of, so that way Kaikar is actually a plausible threat. I think if we're going magical Christmas land, that's the direction we go.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to get your thoughts, because there's a lot of tap lands in this set with Evolving Wild, so I think being able to splash 1, token threat, one,
Oh, yeah. And we'll get to the lands here in a second, and there's a discussion to be had with those, because they're not as simple as they look. But we'll get to that,
All right, let's go to the next card. This card, I just like this card a lot. I think you'll see some really powerful decks brew, and I also think people... we can't curse on the show, right?
No.
Great. Some people will poop the bed trying to play this.
Lightning Stormkin is very, very good. I gave this a 2.75. Hasty Flyers for 2 mana, basically unheard of in limited.
This card is just good. You just get it.
Yeah, the closest approximation that I can think of is Sky Knight Legionnaire, which was 1 red-white flying with haste, and it was a 2/2. And this thing the thing is in blue as well, which makes it even better. It pitches the Force of Will.
And it's an elemental.
And it's an elemental.
And not forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You pull it. If you pack one, pick one, and you have a. If you had to choose between like Kalia or this, I would probably just take this rare drafting. Oh, like every time.
100%.
Like every time.
100%. All right. Moving on to Moldervine Reclamation.
This card, I think, can help make Abzan tokens like a threat.
Yeah, so 3 black-green enchantment, uncommon. Whenever a creature you control dies, gain 1 life and draw a card.
A creature. They didn't put non-token creature like Judith, which made her awful. Not awful, but didn't make her as good.
At that point, if it was non-token, this would not be 5 mana.
Yeah.
Because this card exists, but not for 5 mana already. But it says non-token creature, which is a huge, setback.
Yeah, this at a 5 mana, it's an enchantment. People don't, unless they're idiots, they don't main board enchantment removal. And if they do, you should win.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about this card is the fact that there's no good sack engine. Like there's no Altar of Dementia. There's no like Ashnod's Altar. There's not even a creature that you can even tap and sacrifice a creature to it and give it a bonus. Like there's nothing this to really make this go off.
Have you heard of my friend Blood-Soaked Altar?
That's a 5-drop and a 6-drop.
Listen, you discard a card, you sack your token after you swing, you make another 5/5, you replace the card you discarded with this, and then you have a 5/5 with Pseudo-Vigilance. I'm a genius.
Wow. Okay, so this card is powerful, no doubt about that. Like I said, if there was a good sack engine to go with this, and I do say good sack engine, this really becomes quite powerful. And the fact that it comes out on turn 5 is kind of awkward, because I don't know how often creatures are going to be dying in combat on turn 5 or later. Usually at that point the game's kind of locked up for, in some cases.
But even if the board's locked up and you have one of those cloggy boards, what it seems about the set is it seems like they're trying to stop the board stalls. Or I feel like if you swing in with this, and even if you go even and you lose 4 or 5 creatures and they lose 4 or 5 creatures, you're like 5 life 5 cards, 4 life 4 cards. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's definitely power to it. There's a lot of value to gain from this one. I think it's definitely a build around kind of deck.
Yeah.
There are there's one in particular that allows you to sacrifice a creature, reanimate one, and put one back in your hand, which kind of combos well with this. So I give it a 2.25. It's a powerful card, but it's not super powerful.
See, and I give it maybe a 2.5 because again, it's 5 mana. Green white tokens is already a deck, and if you want to splash 1 or 2 black mana for just this in a tokens deck, just do it. And if every turn you want to swing 1 token, and just swing a token and it dies, and you're like, cool.
Or they don't kill it, they don't block it, and they let the damage through. You're winning either way. Them. Yeah, exactly. Next up, we have got Ogre Siegebreaker, 3 black red for an Ogre Berserker, uncommon 4/3. You can pay 2, a black and a red, and destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn.
Oh, 1.5. All right.
This card is poopy, and let's explain why. Because it's going to be so hard to pull this off. So here's the dream scenario. You attack, they block, their guy dies, their creature has 1 image marked on it, and you've got 8 mana to play this and activate it in the same turn. Yep. That's not happening in a black-red deck. And there's no way they're going to walk into this ability being on board.
But Alex, you can play it on turn 4, then turn 5 you can shock their creature, then pay 4 mana.
Yeah, no.
Oh, or you just play murder.
Yeah, or you just play murder. Or you play an actual kill spell. A real kill spell.
This card's awful, don't play it. We're going to see people play it at our LGS. I'm going to be like, stop that. No.
I get it a 1.75. And let's move on to a good card. We have Omnath, the Locus of the Royal. 1 green, blue, red, legendary creature, elemental, mythic rare, 3/3. When it enters battlefield, it deals damage to any target. equal to the number of elementals you control, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target elemental you control. If you control 8 or more lands, draw a card.
So,
card's good.
Yeah, I think the land clause is the weakest part of the card, where you're just like, if you have 8 lands unlimited, you're like, okay, it's... I feel like that...
Yeah.
Even if they removed that, I would have been like, this is fine.
Yeah, just playing the lands and making your guys bigger is plenty good. You don't put this in blue-red. This needs to go into green-blue or green-red.
With a splash of blue.
With a splash of blue, obviously, because you can actually support that with a... Yeah. Because you're playing...
It's a green base.
Yeah, green base deck, exactly. That's where we're going with that, yeah. I gave Omnath Hero 2.75. There's a lot of power in this card.
Yeah, now, oddly, I think this next card we're going to go over... First off, I want to say, I don't say it's better than Omnath, because it's not, but I think you're happier seeing this in Omnath because this is to play with.
Yeah, it's easier to cast. So this is Risen Reef. 1 green-blue elemental uncommon, 1/1. Whenever it or another elemental enters a battlefield under your control, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped, and if you don't put the card onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. So... like it's a push and pull here because obviously Omnath is checking for lands, and this is always asking you to have an elemental come into play. So this is more of a build around me than Omnath is, but the effect is more consistent when it
it's
actually
uncommon and not a mythic, so you're more likely to
exactly
not just none.
Max out on elementals with this thing.
And it's enter the battlefield, so you could, if there's any flicker shenanigans you want to do, that's what you can do.
Yep, it's unfortunate that the only flicker card in the set is trash.
Yeah. Green has a lot of graveyard bringing stuff, graveyard recursion, so if you shuffle your library, you can get a lot of value repeatedly and if you have this and Omnath, I think that's fine because you splash the red because you're just going to be ripping lands off. Is it basic or just land?
It's land.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, oh, thank god. So, you can just rip lands off the top constantly.
Yeah, it's a very powerful card. I gave it 2.5 build around.
Also, on top of that, real quick, just because we're talking about cool combos, the green enchantment that scries when a creature enters.
Yep.
Elemental enters, scry on the stack.
There
Check
you go.
Scry, not a land, don't care, throw it on the bottom. Hey, look, it's a land block.
Boom. We broke it format. Broke it.
It's a 2-mana combo that shouldn't be like you won't never see it. I don't think. I think it's like
definitely plausible. Yeah, a very good one too. Yeah.
This next one is... I didn't know this card is in the set. I like this card.
This card is insane. This is... oh, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I'm going to do this one. You've been doing all these, all right? I need some fun.
All right, go for it.
Sky Knight Vanguard. It's 1 and a red. It's white and a red.
Yep.
For a 1/2 flyer, whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 soldier token that's tapped and attacking.
Powerful.
Oh, it's so good.
This is the deck that this is the card that definitely wants to have what is the white card I'm thinking of? Inspiring Charge. to just punish your opponent with. I gave this guy a 2.5. It can just if this thing is not dealt with early enough, this will end the game by itself. It is a just constant token stream. Very good card.
Yeah. It's good it doesn't have haste because it'd be busted. It would be so.
So here's my thought on that. Actually, I could give this haste, and it would still be an uncommon.
Why do you think?
It's really powerful, but I think it's still an uncommon.
If it was that, I'd rather. I'd rather see it a 1/1 with haste, not a 1/2.
I mean, yeah, sure, but I
think you get rid of 1 toughness to give it haste.
Okay,
it still dies to every piece of removal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so if it's a 1/1 flying haste, then it's still a real card, and it's still just as good. So yeah, but it's a 2.5.
But either way, it's a good card. This next card, this one's interesting. So this one is Tomebound Lich.
This card is
so good. It's 1 Endomir, so 1 blue-black.
Yep.
Death Touch, lifelink, and whenever it enters the battlefield or deals damage to a player, draw a card, then discard. So I definitely like the ETB, and I like the lifelink Death Touch. It reminds me a lot of Gifted Aetherborn.
You mean his OG self, Vampire Nighthawk?
Yes, even farther back, Vampire not. Yeah, But what I'm curious about, or what I feel is is the dealing the combat damage. Like, I understand the enter the battlefield for the loot.
Yeah.
But to me, I would never, not never, 9 times out of 10, I'm not swinging with him.
Oh, I am. 100%.
You would swing with him to, like, I would leave him as a blocker.
Oh, no. Like this is as close to Shadow Mage Infiltrator as I think we can possibly get in limited and in a core set nowadays. Because, like, if I'm in blue-black and I'm turning this guy sideways, my opponent has to be worried about several things: unsummon, befuddle, and disfigure, or just straight up murder. Like, if I'm representing open mana with this thing turning sideways, they have to think about so many different things. I'll unsummon this guy and play it again if they block it and just get another card out of it. Like, this is a card advantage machine.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to block.
I think it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just with the swinging in where I would be like, I'm gonna just leave this back.
No. It's definitely a skill tester. Like, you gotta, like, once your opponent starts turning this sideways, you're in a very difficult spot. Like, you either say, that's fine, I'll take it, or you start risking blocks and getting blown out, because they're not going to turn this sideways unless they've got it, or they're making you call their bluff, and they're still going to come out ahead because they're taking down a big creature.
Yeah, and because and the 3 toughness is very relevant.
Is huge for a creature like this.
Toughness is very big.
Yeah.
I think if you go blue-black control with this and you open 1 or 2 of these, you get like 1 or 2 of these, you play them. Yeah,
I mean, and this is the color that has Frost Links, Dungeon Geists. I mean, there's going to be ways to keep blockers down to just make this thing go absolutely nuts. Sleep Paralysis is here. Yeah, this is a good card. This is a very good card.
The next card, which is I'm going to be getting for EDH.
Oh, 100%. I'm right there with you.
Panharmonicon, the Desecrated. No, it's York, the Desecrated. It's 2 Insulti, so 2 black, green, blue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legendary elemental horror. It's Death Touch and Lifelink.
Yep.
If a permanent
permanent
causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It's a 3/5.
Yes.
So
life gain lands, Scrylands,
all of that. Now, to be clear, if you're like the Hydra, if it enters with 5 counters, it's not entering with 10, it's entering with 5, and if you double it, it doubles twice.
Then it doubles, yeah, exactly.
So you'd go from 5 to 10 to 20. So in an earlier episode, if you listen to one later, I was talking about the champion, the uncommon green guy with the tokens,
mm-hmm.
where if a permanent enters, so if you have this and you're in, this is why I'm saying I think 3-color, you can go with like a 3-color token deck maybe.
Okay.
Because of this, because the enter the battlefield.
So I'm playing Sultai tokens?
You're green, black, splashing blue.
Okay. I'm with you there. I'm with you.
Green, black, splash, blue. Because if you think about it, if you have 1 token enter, it's a doubling. Anything, it's a doubling season. Because it gets that many. So no matter what, this is almost a doubling season in that case. Tomebound Lich
is insane.
Draw 1, discard, draw 1, discard. Loot twice.
Yep.
Risen Reef
is insane.
Scry 2.
Yep.
Or look at the top 2. The enchantment Scry 2. Or Scry 1, and you can't Scry 2, it's Scry 1.
Yep.
It's just, if you have the colors, and you can, I'm going to assume you're either going to be green-black or green-blue, and you're splashing the other color.
Yeah.
And if you get this, I think no matter what you're playing it, because no matter what, it's going to give you value, even if you only have 2 or 3 enter the battlefield. I think this is just, if you can do it, you just play it.
Yeah, I don't think...
It's a 4.
Yeah, even without the... 4 is a bit much, I think. 4's a bit much, and it's only because of the way that the lands are going to be available in this set. Now, granted, we do have like Gift of Paradise and whatnot, so there's flexibility for it. But without a bunch of ETB effects, it's still very, very good. A 3/5 Death Touch Lifelinker is an insane creature to deal with,
and it's elemental, so you can go green-blue elemental with a splash of black for it, and you're like, great.
Yeah, the card is just nuts. I did give it a 2.5 simply because I'm thinking more in a in the sort of the totality of the set. Like in a vacuum, the card is absurd. It's like a 4. It's absolutely a 4. But within the context of the set, I think it's a little bit weaker simply because I can't guarantee that I'm going to have Gift of Paradise in my pre-release. I can't guarantee that I'm going to have the right tap lands to cast this thing. So it's definitely a powerful card.
Sure.
I'm gonna like in the right deck, it's absurd. Baseline by itself, I think it's just a 2.5, maybe a 3. I could be undervaluing it a little bit, but it's still a very powerful card.
I think baseline 3, and I think 7 out of 10 times, it's a 4. I think if you even have like the Wolf Pup card, 2 wolves?
Yeah, 2 wolves, yeah.
Like, it just becomes that much better, and in these colors, you care about those in these colors, like the entering the battlefield is relevant.
Yeah.
Lynx comes in, taps down 2
creatures, which is absurd. And Lynx is also an elemental. I mean, we could easily spend the next hour going over every interaction this thing doubles in the set. But let's not do that today.
So I think
you're right. It's definitely a solid 3. Very good 3.
It's a 3, I think. Worst case, it's a 3. I think best case, and I think more often than not, I think if you have the right deck, it'll be a 4.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's kill on sight, get rid of it, or you lose.
Yeah, 100%. And our next gold card here is Riene, Angel of Rebirth.
Which is the buy box promo.
Yeah, which if your opponent plays this against you at the pre-release, call a judge. They are cheating. This card is not actually in the set.
Also, if they're playing against you, then you question why they're playing this against you.
Yeah, how did they buy a box already? But yeah, anyway. So
also, it's a trash card.
Yeah, that too. So let's move on to some other trash cards as we move into our artifacts.
Oh, you mean all of them?
Most of them.
I lied. I'm sorry. No. The black artifacts aren't in here. Never mind.
Yeah, Jesus. Okay, first up we have Anvil Rot Raptor. 4 generic mana, 2/1 flying first strike. Better flyers exist unless I've got just like the nut flyer deck and I need another flyer for it, and Empyrean Eagle makes this thing a 3/2 with first strike.
I would almost never play this. I would rather put a removal spell in over this unless I'm hurt for flyers. And if I'm hurt for flyers, then I shouldn't be playing flyers.
Yeah, that's a very true point. Now, that being said, this actually checks all of the common flyers. Well, except for one of the angels. But all common flyers get just taken down by this thing for the most part. So
yeah, but it's 4 mana.
It is 4 mana. Like, it's not a good card, but it's serviceable in a very dedicated blue-white flyer deck.
I'm giving it a 1. I hate it. I don't like it.
1.5 for me because it flies.
Bag of Holding. Listen, I actually. Bag of Holding right here.
Yeah, this card is nuts. So a single generic mana, rare artifact. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard, and pay 2, tap it, draw a card, then discard a card, or pay 4 and tap it, sacrifice Bag of Holding, return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hands.
I can't wait for some poor sap to get blown the hell out.
I mean, yeah.
For a Prontodon to come out and be like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a disaster. That is an absolute disaster. But this card, left unchecked, will generate so much card advantage over the course of a game that I don't think that if you pop this thing for like 5 cards in the mid to late game, you're not losing.
Yeah, and if this comes out on turn 1 and you're just like, turn 2, loot. You're like, I don't care. There's like nothing in my hand that I right now. Or you're like, oh, I'm going to put this bomb away out of my hand so it can't be duress later and pray that my thing doesn't get up.
Yeah,
which it shouldn't. In game 1, this card's, I think, like a 3. In game 2 and 3, I think it's like a 2.5.
Yeah. If they have the removal for it, and if you see it, like, it's a very, very good card.
I think it's a very good game 1 card. I feel like game 2, they're not going to fall for it.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Next up is a card that our buddy Rocco is completely over the moon about. And
of course Rocco was.
Surprisingly enough, this has actually caused the spike of a modern card that's ever seen any play.
Because you can kill someone on turn 1. Turn 2.
Turn 2, in fact, this can kill with Avacyn's Gift, which is kind of
nice. No, this is also, there's another one that is double strike when it's equipped, and you can just hit him for 22 damage on turn 2.
But you have to be able to equip this thing.
It equips when it enters.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of what it is, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. So anyway, so Colossus Hammer, 1 generic mana, equipment uncommon. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying, and it equips for 8.
Unplayable and limited. Super fun in modern.
Sure. Yeah. Big ol' fat 0.
Literally unplayable. I'm sure people will play it for the memes. If I get one, I might just be like, LOL Hammer.
Yeah, try it. This next card, however, Diamond Knight, quite playable. 3 generic mana, artifact creature knight, uncommon, 1/1 with vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Oh, with Yarok, I'm going to choose 2 colors. You see it?
Oh, yeah, you could. You could choose 2 colors.
Yeah. And whenever you cast a spell of the chosen color, put a +1/+1 counter on Diamond Knight.
So I guess my optimism is rubbing off on you because you need to chill, all right? I think this card is only good if your deck is more than like 66% a color. If it's like an even 50-50 split, I don't like it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I feel it's a 3-mana 1/1, and if you're playing it on turn 3, it's a 1/1. And you have vigilance, great. It's a good upside, but if it's 50-50 split, I just feel like half the time you're maybe gonna get a counter.
Well, you're definitely right. Like, it definitely needs to favor one way or the other. And
I think if you're heavier in like green or blue, or like if you're heavier in one color, or if your hand is super heavy in one color,
that's the thing. You know, the context of the deck matters completely for this thing. And most of your limited decks are going to lean one way or the other. I've very rarely seen a limited deck that is truly 50% one, 50% the other. Yeah. So I think this thing is it's a good payoff just for playing Magic. You know, if this is your turn 3 play and your turn 4 play is the color you want, because I would imagine that it would be, you've already paid 3 mana for a 2/2 with Vigilance, and that's a playable Magic card right there. And then every time beyond that, this thing just gets better and better and better.
It can definitely blow games out, but I looking at it, I'm just not impressed by it. I'd give it a 2, maybe a 1.75. Depending, like it's. Because in a vacuum, you're like, it could be really good. But also, if you look at it, you're like, it's 3 mana. If I have nothing else that turn, it's a 3 mana 1/1 with Vigilance, which is not playable.
No, then it's not. Yeah, but I mean,
and if you can't block really with it, you can't attack with it. Like to me, it's just like it can become a problem. And if there's no creatures on board and you play this and they're don't have a lot of removal, you're going to the races. You're very happy.
Yeah.
But I think most times you're just like, eh.
I think it's good. I like it. I like it a lot.
This next card, we don't talk about because it's actual hot trash.
Wait, you're talking about Diviner's Lockbox, right?
Yes.
This card is bad?
I don't like this card at all.
Okay, all right, hold on. So,
Not
4 generic mana, artifact uncommon, pay 1, tap it, choose a card name, reveal the top card of your library. If that card has the chosen name, sacrifice it, draw 3 cards, activate only during when you can cast a sorcery. This card is insane in limited.
I disagree.
Okay.
2,000%.
So
I disagree to the moon and back.
So
I think it's a 0.
At any point in the mid to late game, what is your average limited deck comprised of? Lands. About 17 lands, right?
And it might be less with Lord Mulligan, but generally yes.
Right. So, but basically, you can just safely name whatever basic land you have the most of. It's 1 mana. In the mid to late game, the chances of you using all of your mana every single turn is a thing because you want to be casting big bombs, but you'll have a mana available. Eventually, you're gonna get this right and draw 3.
Well, okay, let me ask you a question. Okay?
All right.
For 5 mana.
Yep.
All right. For 5 mana, sorcery, draw 3 cards. How would you feel about that card?
Playable limited.
Okay, but that is the best case scenario for this, and also it's only at sorcery speed.
That's fine.
I don't think it's good. I literally don't think I just don't think it's good. It comes in on turn 4.
Yeah.
Maybe turn 5. Doesn't affect the board in any way.
That's okay.
It does not affect the board. I don't like it at all. I think it's a 0. I'm not playing this at all.
So I'm not like I'm gonna get a 1.75. Like that's my actual rating on this thing. But in the right deck that has a lot of card advantage built into it, I think this is a really good tool to reload in the mid to late game, because drawing 3 cards at sorcery speed is just fine, you know? Like, you're absolutely right. It's 5 mana to do this.
It's 5 mana, and unless you have the scry, you're not guaranteed to hit it. So you can be wasting... Okay, so hold on, let's just pull up a calculator real quick here, okay? Let's just math this out real quick, right? So you have 40 cards, and you draw 7, right? And how many lands we say? It was 17 lands?
17 lands.
All right, so 42.5% of your deck is lands, right?
Yep.
All right, so 33 cards, -1, turn 1, 2, 3,
11
4.
cards off the deck, so you have 20...
Yep,
oh, no.
29 cards.
Yep, 29 cards left.
Okay, and we're going to assume 42.5 are lands, assuming that we're kept the same, like, amount.
Yep.
So you have 12 lands, so you have less than a 50% chance on turn 4 to hit it, and then potentially on turn... You have less than a 50%. If the card was 5 mana, draw 3 cards 43% of the time, you'd be like, hot trash.
That's a coin flip, though. So, like,
but
it's...
You're not just naming a land, though. No. You're not just naming a land. You're naming Swamp, Forest, Island. So you're not just naming basic land. You're naming a particular land.
I mean, I get the argument. I get that it's not a very good card. I think it is more playable than you're giving it credit for, because...
I think it's stone cold unplayable. Stone cold.
That's
if
fair.
anyone plays this, I'm just like, LOL.
Alright, that's fine. When I win the Prerelease with this in my deck, I'll just smile at you.
And when I win with it by ripping it in front of you, because it's an awful card, I'll be very happy.
Wow. So rude. So rude. Let's talk about a different card.
My card.
Let's go to Golos, Tireless Pilgrim.
I think this is Solemn Simulacrum dad.
I mean, it is. You're right about that.
Solemn's dad.
Yeah, so...
This card I like a lot. I'm actually really high on this card.
5 generic mana, legendary artifact creature, scout, rare, 3/5. As it enters the battlefield, search your library for a land card, put that onto the battlefield, tap and shuffle your library, and you can pay 2, a white, blue, black, red, green, exile top 3 cards of your library, and you may play them this turn without paying their mana costs.
Yeah, no, this is, if you're in 3 colors, and you're splashing a color and you have this guy, he's colorless, and even though, like, you're probably never going to hit the Wooburg.
Never.
Ever. Unless you're trolling, or you somehow miraculously do it. This card's just really good.
Yeah, it's just good. It's a rampant growth. It's a 5 mana rampant growth that beats for... It's 3/5 is also huge. And the fact that it's getting any land. Yeah, it goes in every deck, especially. Like, it's not, like, amazing. It's not game-winning. But I give it a 2.25.
I'm a little bit higher. Maybe I'm like at a 2.5 for this card.
Okay, that's fair.
Like marginally higher, just because I think some of if you have any Scrylands or Gamelands, I think they can be really impactful. If you're splashing a color and you have it in your hand, and it's a 6-drop or a 7-drop, and you have this, you color if you don't have it.
Yeah. Get behind that.
Next card, and I actually just pulled one of these in a Chaos draft that I did for Chris.
Nice.
Graph Digger's Cage. It's a 1-mana artifact. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can cast spells from graveyards or libraries. I don't think this have a super large impact in limited.
It doesn't. It's basically
it's a 0.
It's a 0, unfortunately. Yeah.
But it's a needed reprint. It hasn't been printed in a while.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, last seen in Dark Ascension, so this needed to be reprinted, and it's a good spot to have it, especially in a core set where effects like this can just be kind of put in there because they're in a core set. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on.
Heart Piercer Bow.
This card sucks.
This card, I hate this card. It's 2 mana equipment. Equip 1 whenever that attacks. Heart Piercer Bow. The equipment deals 1 damage to target creature defending player controls.
Yeah, it's nice that it's the bow. It's kind of a flavor win, but it's still a 0. It was bad in Cons of Tarkir, and it's bad here.
If it wasn't the bow, but the creature, then Death Touch, putting this on Death Touch is amazing.
Oh, yeah, but we're not.
And also, if it said to any target, I think it would be better.
Then it's something playable, but it doesn't say that. So,
but it's trash.
Let's just move on to Icon of Ancestry. This is a 3 generic artifact for a rare. Enters battlefield, name a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. You may pay 3 and tap it, look at the top 3 cards of your library, and reveal a creature card of the chosen type from among them, put it into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Okay, cool. So this is saying elementals you control get +1/+1 in limited.
Yes.
Or birds. And you're hoping that most of your flyers are birds.
Exactly, yeah. This is a true build-around card for this set, and it needs to be heavy build-around. Otherwise, you don't play this.
Oh, wait, is Scuttle? Oh, it's my favorite card. It's my favorite uncommon. Or my favorite artifact card.
Yep. Manifold Key is next. A single generic mana gets you an artifact uncommon. Pay 1 and tap it to untap another target artifact, or pay 3 and tap it. Target creature cannot be blocked this turn. Yeah, meh.
I feel it's a trap. I feel like newer players or inexperienced draft players are gonna like flock to this card because the 3-tap unblockable.
Oh sure, yeah.
I definitely think this is a card where if you see it, if you get past one and you're just very short on playables, you're like, but you don't rush out and pull this in your deck because it's the 3-mana target creature can't be blocked this turn isn't going to be relevant enough most of the time.
Yeah, I need a very big hitter, and it needs to be a game-ending hitter to be relevant here. Next up, we've got more bad equipment. Marauder's Axe, 2 generic mana equipment, common, equipped creature gets +2/+0, and equips for 2. Can we just move on to the next card?
No, actually, hold up. No.
Oh, jeez. I didn't think I could debate on this one.
I think in a token deck, this card's fine. I think being able to make the tokens trade up from 1/1s to 3, I think it makes it a better card in like more go wide decks. I think in general it's not as good, but with tokens you can equip it to a token because its equip cost is only 2, and you can trade better with the 1/1 instead of just being. Because you don't get the token side because you can just make more.
That's fair, I guess, but yeah.
I don't think it's playable. I think it's like a 1.5.
Okay, we'll give it a 1 and call it a day, and go on to a card that is absolutely ridiculous in this format. Meteor Golem has returned!
What was he printed in Dominaria?
M19.
Was he also an M19 again?
He was only an M19.
Was he? Great.
Yeah.
Love this card.
So, 7 generic mana, artifact creature golem, uncommon, 3/3, enters the battlefield and destroys target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Wow. This card is nuts.
Alright, so it's removal.
Yeah.
And you play it. Oh, it's target non-land permanent. So it's kill anything on the board but lands.
Yeah.
And you just have them, you play them.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 for the only reason being that it is 7 mana. But other than that, pretty damn good.
I look at it as it's a 4-mana 3/3 because murder's 3. So if I look at it like that, it's like, okay, it's sort of like a 4-mana 3. You're casting murder, then you're playing a 4-mana like vanilla 3/3.
Anyway.
It's a good card, you're playing it 2.5.
Yeah. Mystic Forge is next. 4 generic mana, artifact rare. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may cast to the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. Pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go ahead. Listen, if you want to talk about Diviner's Lockbox being good, you play this with the lockbox in your set. Otherwise, get out of town.
Yes! Live the dream. But no, this is a flat 0. There are not enough artifacts in this set to make this even remotely playable.
The only thing I can think of it being useful is like it's a pseudo scry where it's like, oh, I don't need this card, but it's exile, so it sucks. If it was graveyard, it'd be much better.
Yeah. And then you combo this with Bag of Holding. But no, that's not how the card works. Anyway, Pattern Marcher is next. 4 generic mana, uncommon, 3/3, artifact creature golem. Enters the battlefield. You may search your library for a creature or for a card with the same name as another creature you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Chris thinks this is a unset card because of the goofy art.
I love the artwork. Chris needs to chill.
Yeah, it is referring to Whittle bunnies in the flavor text, however. So...
Good. I wish we had a Whittle Bunny 1/1, a 0/1 that costs 0 white card called Whittle Bunny in the set. That got +1/+10 for all Whittle Bunnies in the battlefield. Just
anyway,
for this card.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good card. Not really good. I think situationally it's really good. I think it's here's the worst case. You're scrying. You're like, I hate this. I'm gonna play this. Search for a target. No targets. Shuffle.
Okay, that's convoluted at best, but yeah, I think it's a build-around me card. It definitely falls in that category, and I think you need at minimum 3 copies of whatever it is that you're going and getting before this becomes playable. Otherwise, you've just paid 4 mana for a 3/3, which is still Hill Giant stats, but I think you can do better at all times.
Also, real quick for the Bag of Holding meme, the card has to be exiled with Bag of Holding to get it back.
Yeah, that's the other part of it too.
All right, don't listen to Alex. Bad meme.
Yeah. Next up.
It's bad. Let's move on.
Yeah, but for technicality's sake, 2 generic mana, artifact creature golem, 2/1, pay 2 mana, add 1 mana of any color. If you are really stretching for fixing, this is how you do it, but you don't do it. Moving on to Retributive Wand, 3 generic mana, artifact, uncommon, pay 3 mana, deals 1 damage to any target, and when Retributive Wand is put into a graveyard from a battlefield, it deals 5 damage to any target. I will give someone 100,000 EOT Newsflash bucks if you win a game of Magic with this card, with the goes to the graveyard ability.
Yeah. Alex, no, hear me out, Alex. Okay, hear me out. All right, this is you naturalize your own card, you gain the life, and then you ping someone for 5 damage.
I mean, yes, that's
Lava-axe them.
Yes, that's what you're doing. But the question is this playable?
No. I don't.
Is it
3 damage to 1 target? For 3 mana. I don't.
In the dirtiest of control decks, this is the ultimate finisher. And then you do flash them the naturalize, and they're like, no. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to pay 15 mana more. I'm just going to kill you right now.
Yeah, I just...
It's not playable. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, if you absolutely need something, I feel like there are worse cards, and this is like... They're not going to kill it.
Yeah, so there was a card in Gatecrash called Razor Tip Whip, which effectively was this card, but you just tapped it to deal 1 damage to target player, and that was a legitimate win con in aggro decks and for some control decks.
You're not paying 3.
Not paying 3, that's the thing. Yeah.
If it was pay 1 and tap it, I think it'd be a much better card.
Oh, infinitely.
Even 2 and tap, I think is better, but 3 is just a little too steep.
Yeah, 100%.
And if it had a sack outlet on itself. If it was like 5 mana, sack this card, draw a card,
sure.
5 or something.
Yeah. Well, here's another crappy card. Salvager of Ruin. 3 generic mana for an artifact creature construct. Uncommon, 2/1. You may sacrifice it and choose target permanent card put in your graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn and return it to your hand.
Give this flash, make it 4 mana, and it's a better card.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. The biggest problem is like it's the biggest hoop to jump through, and your opponent sees this from a mile away, and if they let you
and you're losing board presence because it doesn't come back to the battlefield.
Exactly. Yeah. If your opponent lets you activate this, they deserve to lose the game.
Here's what I think this is what it should have said to make it, I think, more balanced. If it's 2 or less mana, or power, or however you want to do it.
Okay, sure.
Return it to the battlefield, and then if it's 3 or more, return it to your hand. That way, if you want to chump with something on turn 2, as a Death Toucher, you kill it, you play this, and then you bring the Death Toucher back.
Ooh, that's a problem. Because then it starts comboing with itself.
What I should say, other than this card's name, like you could probably get rid of like.
Yeah, there's some text there to do, but yeah, that's an interesting way of going about it. But as it is, it's.
But it's also target permanent card. Yeah. So that's inch. Bag of Holding.
Or Retributive Wand for no.
Yeah. If it was depending on the CMC and there was a clause where it couldn't go infinite with itself, obviously.
Yeah, then it turns into a rare though because it starts having tons of text. But
yeah, if it was 2 mana and then it said 2 or less battlefield, or if it was like this and it was 2 or less mana battlefield, 3 or greater hand, then at least it doesn't go infinite itself.
Yeah. But it's as it is, it's not very good.
As is, it's not good. I wish it was better. It's an interesting card. I like these ideas of like, there's another one in Rakdos that's the same thing where it's like bring back all creatures that died this turn or whatever.
Oh yeah. But it's a cool design, and I think that it's the safest version of what that card can be. before it gets really dangerous, because that, and that's like a modern effect right there, and all of a sudden KCI was a thing like that. I don't think that is a thing, but there is a world where text like that really starts to do some stupid stuff. So,
and it even can if especially I can see this being like silly in something like maybe even Legacy, where if you like Black Lotus, get rid of it, and then this comes, you get a Black Lotus back again, and then you like zero costed artifacts.
Interesting. Yeah. But let's talk about Scuttlemutt.
I love this card.
3 generic mana, artifact creature, Scarecrow, uncommon, 2/2. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, or tap it, and target creature becomes the color or colors of your choice until end of turn.
Stone Cold playable. This is a 5 out of 4.
Okay.
It's a 2.5.
It's a 2.5, yeah. It's a 2.5.
If you have this card, you just play it. I think there's no reason not to play it.
It's not a universal playable. I think just what it can do makes it playable. Like, I don't need to jam this into every 2-color deck. But if I have a splash, then I'm absolutely taking this very highly. I could see this thing wheeling quite easily in a draft and just being left in the pool for a sealed deck.
Well, here's the 3,000 IQ play. If you have any creature that has protection from any color, and you play this, because then you'll just give target you'll give a creature on the opponent's that color, and it's like, LOL, can't block it.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. But, it's not like a universal play, like you said. But I think it is still very powerful. I give it a 2.5, just like you did. It's a really good card, and the best fixer, I think, for non-green decks, and even green decks will want to have this as well.
Yeah, I think you can play it universally to ramp into a 5-drop. I think it definitely depends on the curve. If you have no 4-drops and you have this, and you have a bunch of 5-drops, you play this.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I'm with you there, 100%.
Or even if you ramp into this early and you're 6-drop on turn 4.
Oh yeah. There really is no 1-drop accelerator though. That's kind of unfortunate. But anyway. Next up, we've got the Steel Overseer. 2 generic mana for an artifact creature construct, rare, 1/1, tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control.
Okay. In standard with Saheeli, this card's going to be great.
Sure.
In limited, don't play.
No.
It's not.
It's a build around me, and it means, if you are playing this, it means you're playing a bunch of really bad artifact creatures.
Yeah.
Like our next card, Stone Golem. Look how I did that transition.
Sweet is the best.
5 generic mana, 4/4. Absolute trash. I give it a 1.25 with the big caveat that I hope you can find something better to do with your 5 mana. And if you can't, you can do a lot worse.
Listen, as much as I hate Diviner's Lockbox, I'd rather play Diviner's Lockbox. It's a piece of crap. And Diviner's is 0 to me, so this is a -2.
So this is somewhere in the negative space then. Okay, that's fair. All right, let's go on to our last artifact card in Vial of Dragonfire. 2 generic mana for an artifact common. You can pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice it, and it deals 2 damage to target creature. This card was not playable back in cons, and it's not playable now either.
But Alex, there's a creature that lets you tutor for it, so you can pick it.
No. And what's even worse, and it's funny you mentioned that, so there's Vial of Dragonfire, and then the Heartpiercer Bow. So when the apprentice guy that tutors these things up was first revealed, Vial of Dragonfire was not in that set. Everyone was like, oh my god, Vial of Dragonfire has to be some kind of busted artifact. And then it got revealed in Dragons of Tarkir, and this is what it was. We were all very disappointed.
Yeah, I would
Wizards trolled us pretty hard on this one. This is a 1.25. It is a 4-mana shock for only creatures. It is quite shocking how bad it is.
If it was any target, I might be a little bit higher on it. If it was a 2-mana, if it was a 1-mana 2-tap deal to any target, it would, I think, be a bit better. But you don't play it.
Yeah, no. All right, let's wrap things up. We are on to the lands, and this is actually very easy. Let's get started right off with Bloodfell Caves and all of the cons tapped duels. These are all 2s. You always play them, and they are good to facilitate a splash.
Yeah, if they're in your colors, I think even if they're in your colors, you play them. Just gain life is better than just coming in tap. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Play them.
Yeah, I would go as far, and this is simply from the experience of playing with these in Cons Limited, which I think is one of the worst limited formats of all time because of these lands. There's one in every pack, right?
Not now, though, thankfully.
But not now. They're so these cards. So for Core 2020, they are in 50% of the land slots. So in a draft, you will open roughly 1.5, more than likely. In sealed, you will open 3 of these. So that's
the same for Evolving Wilds too.
Well, Evolving Wilds is a common, so I think it slots in anywhere in the common slot. I think.
Oh, it's just that it doesn't replace a land slot. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't replace a land slot. So when Ben and I are talking about playing these 3-color decks, that's the thing you have to keep in mind is that you can open up these dual lands here, but it might not be that there's 10 of them too. There's 10 in the set. Mm-hmm. And you might not open the right one or open any. That's just something to think about.
But probability you're not guaranteed to get 3 in a sealed.
Exactly. They might
do that just because it's a sealed deck, so they can probably
And they do have the ability to distribute cards a little bit differently in sealed pre-release packs. It's a proven thing. But yeah, these are all playable. I would even go as far as saying, back to the cons point where there were a lot of, the format was very slow and very grindy, and so you had people would literally play every tap land they had that was in at least one of their colors, and just gain 4 or 5 life and start the actual game at like 25 life. And the incidental morphs in this set were able to be played so easily off these lands as well. So they're good, but they're not like super great. They're just 2s.
If you get them in your colors, I think even if you get them in off colors and just one in an off color,
yeah.
You can...
Yeah, absolutely. Just gain the life. If it's a slow format, I think they're completely playable here. All right, then we've got Blossoming Sands. It's the same thing. And, Cryptic Cave.
We have 2 new ones. Yeah.
Yeah, Cryptic. So we have our Cryptic Caves here. This is a uncommon land. It taps for a colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it and sacrifice it and draw a card only if you have 5 or more lands.
Okay, just quick disclaimer. If you're doing a 3-color splash, do not play this. If you're playing 2 colors, you can get away with it. All right,
yeah.
Move in.
Disclaimer finished. I did play 2 completely colorless lands in my 5-color War of the Spark draft deck. So...
At RLGS, chill out.
The deck was insane regardless. But yeah, Ben is right. Don't play this in a deck that has 3+ colors in it. I think this is completely playable in a 2-color deck. I give it a 2.25, especially if the power level of the format is rather slow. And this is a really good one to power up Elvish Reclaimer, or even if you can pull some Marasa this back, it's quite good.
Yeah, Evolving Wilds. It'll come in the comment. It's you play it. It's untap, tap, sacrifice it.
Yep.
Search for basic land, put it into play tapped. If you don't open any dual lands and you open this, you play this, and then you play 1 or 2 of the basics that you for the splash.
Yeah, well, we're actually gonna get to here until I think he's 2 cards away. So Dismal Backwater is a blue-black one. Evolving Wilds, there it is. Yeah. So
it's right here.
I'm actually inclined to play this in 2-color decks. When I first started playing Magic, there was a common conception, especially in my playgroup, which is granted a very inexperienced playgroup, was in any 2-color deck you play 4 of these. And it's just free deck thinning. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good idea. This was young Magic playing Alex. Not a good idea. But in a limited format where you do have a little bit of a splash, this is a great thing to go and facilitate that splash with.
And especially in this format where you have so many 3 pips.
Yes.
If you look and you're your hand and you have and this is your 5 and you have 2 green and 3 white and you need that 3rd green. You can guarantee the 3rd pip because you generally will have 2 of each land, and then the 3rd amount you can't guarantee.
Yeah. For whatever reason, 3 pips is super hard in a format that doesn't have fetch lands. Haha, Cryptic Command.
Now let's go to Field of the Dead.
This card is bad.
I want this card for EDH. In this format, it is awful.
Yeah, because it is asking... So it comes into play tapped, and it generates a colorless mana, true colorless mana. And whenever it or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This is unplayable.
Stone cold unplayable.
Yep. Pretty sad. Moving on.
Yeah.
Jungle Hollow gains a life. Lotus Field. This is a card that Ben and I are divided on. I'll let Ben go first.
Oh, no. All right, so it's hexproof, which is cool because you can't demolish it.
I swear.
I guess that'd actually be a worry if they were to do that to this card.
Yeah.
It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice 2 lands. Tap, add 3 mana of any one color. I think I'm with you, Alex, where it's definitely not good enough.
It's not playable in limited at all. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is that you can pulse back the lands that you sacrificed. Elvish Reclaimer gets powered by those lands that you sacrificed. But this is a single color of mana. And I can't guarantee that my hand will not be of many colors. And it's a huge drawback here. I mean, it's a powerful card. Like, no doubt about that.
If constructed, this card's going to be the nuts.
I mean, it's good in decks that can have it interplay untapped, like Amulet Titan in Modern.
Oh,
that's where this card gets
it. It's a Black Lotus in...
It's a Black Lotus in what?
It's a Black Lotus in Amulet Titan.
Yeah, exactly.
You just play, don't sacrifice the lands, it comes in untapped, sacrifice it, and you have 3 mana.
Yeah, it's good there, but it's not good unlimited, unfortunately. So
yeah, unless we have some cards that come out in Standard that let us untap target permanent at instant.
Not gonna happen.
I doubt. Yeah, I doubt.
That's
just because of this.
That is super broken with a card like this. That generates like look at it this way. So like turn 2, so my turn 3 is I play Lotus Field. I have whatever effect keeps this untapped. I flip the 2 mana. I sack those, I tap this, that's 5 mana on turn 3. That's absurd. Not limited. Not for Modern. Not for Standard. Not for Standard.
The only deck I think really, playable is if you're in a, I don't say mono white weenies because curve out, but, mono green decks. I think playing this, if you have a Llanowar on turn 1, turn 2, you still have 3 mana.
Okay.
And then, or on turn 3 when you want to play this, you still have 3 mana because you have the Llanowar Elf, so it's not, throwing you completely off curve. And then you
just
play
mostly off curve.
I mean, you still have the 2 mana. You can still tap the lands before playing this.
That's true. Yeah. The problem with this is that it doesn't generate mana. You're not up mana. By the time that you untap this and play what was effectively your 4th mana, you've only got as much mana as you would have had without playing Lotus Field.
1 extra. No, it's 3. You're sacrificing 2 lands. You should be up 1 mana.
Well, no. So turn 1 land. Turn 2 2 lands. Turn 3 this comes into play tapped. You sacrifice it, and then the 4th land you play, you're at parity on turn 4. This doesn't accelerate you at all. So that's even more just weirdness to it. But whatever. Moving on. Not playable limited. Rugged Highland, Scoured Barrens, Swiftwater Cliffs. Here we go. Finally something to talk about. The Temples of Whatever, as I like to call them.
The Scrylands, yeah. Now, I'm so glad that they're bringing more dual lands back in, and I really hope next set they finish this line.
That'd be cool. Because I do think
they did that with Checklands. They did that with Checklands.
Yeah. So I mean, for the longest time, we didn't have the enemy-colored Checklands. From up through M13, we did not have this full cycle of Checklands. It took until Innistrad to finish that cycle off. It's been a long time seeing those come back.
And they remember them in Ixalan and Dominaria, right?
Yeah, Ixalan got the allied colored ones, and Dominaria got the enemy colored ones. So they're doing a good job balancing the lands here. So I think you are right. In the fall set, we might see the allied colored temples be reprinted, which would be very cool. Yeah. They're not tied to any thematic set really. They can just be a place.
And I think all the Scrylands. So just real quick, we have the blue, the red blue, the green black, the green blue, the white black, and the white red.
White red, yeah.
Which, by the way, are all pretty much the colors you're going to be playing for the most, minus maybe green, white, and Gruul. Never mind, I'm high.
That's a very.
I was saying it, and then I thought. And
that's
then I was
not a correct statement. That's a very strong statement to make. That's not right.
Ignore that. I think. I always felt like Checklands and the Temples were probably the 2 most balanced.
Yeah, they're the best ones by far.
Dual lands. Yeah. Shocklands are obviously very good, but they're also very powerful.
Yeah.
Which is why they're usually so expensive and so sought after.
Yep.
But if we had to choose between having Checklands and Scrylands in every single format, rotating out, I think they should probably keep one of the 2 in every set.
Oh yeah, and that was the case for a Yeah, for a very long time, that was the case. We didn't have a standard format where the check lands didn't exist.
Yeah, they're the most. I think they're a very budget way to get into to have a very good mana base.
Yeah.
Very on a very low budget because there's so many printing of them.
Yeah.
If they're constantly legal, then if you're dropping $15-$20 on a playset, you're like you don't feel bad because it's like these cards are evergreen. I feel Wizards should do something like a reserve list, but like these cards will always be in standard. Like for the foreseeable future, a list of these cards will be in standard.
Yeah, and that used to be the case. Like core sets used to actually be half reprint, or no, they used to be all reprints actually. No, wait, that's not right. Half reprints, half new cards. And so it's definitely a thing. And you're absolutely right. We will always see some variation of dual lands in standard.
That aren't trash.
Yeah, that aren't trash. Yeah, exactly. Rare dual lands that come into play tapped unless you fulfill a condition or they have an ETB effect, like scrying.
Yeah, and I think even the game lands, like, even if you're just running like game lands and check lands, or game lands and scry lands as your mana base on a very tight budget. Standard,
yeah. I mean,
I feel like you don't feel awful. It's not great they come tapped, but I feel like the power level that you're losing from aren't as much as people think when there are other cards that are more flashy and better.
Yeah, I mean, I registered a standard deck at an SCG Open that had a red-white tapped life gain land in it. Just one, but I had it in there because I needed another red-white duel. But anyway, so the temples are, I think they're all 2.5s. The scry is very powerful and limited. You can play these even if you're not in both colors. I would be happy to play the Epiphany Temple in a red-green deck, for instance. And they're all just that good. That's simple.
Yep. I mean, I would almost, if you're splashing, if you're doing, when we were talking about like oh my lord, Omnath, the new Omnath.
Yeah.
I would almost I would almost not mind playing off colors. I mean, there's only one off color in this case, which is or no color, which is the black white one,
and the red white one.
Colors, huh?
I see what you're saying. I see. There's only one that's not in its colors completely.
Completely. Even then I wouldn't mind being like, okay, it's a colorless land that scries me when I play it.
Yeah.
In two colors, and it's like, yeah, you can get away with that. I feel just the scry on it's like good enough where you can just, if you have them and your mana base is like good enough and you're in two colors, not three, I think you can get away with just playing it as just a land that's.
Ooh, that's a bold claim. I see what you're saying.
We had one. Oh god. Let me pull it up. It was a land card. Dominaria.
Zalfirin Void?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a colorless scry?
Yeah, but it was a colorless land. And it was.
That's what this is essentially. If you're doing it off colors, it's colorless.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But Zalfirin Void didn't come into play tapped. That's the trick here. But I do see what you're saying, that this could be just used as a 0 mana scry on a turn where you're not playing anything. So I see the line there. Yeah. But yeah, these are all.
You should, but it's playable. You can do it, I think, and it still be okay.
Yeah, I get behind that. Yeah, so it's a solid 2.5 for all the temples here. All the dual lands are playable, is essentially what we're saying here. So you're not going to be hard for, your mana base will look good for limited in this format, which is nice.
And if we want to go over real quick, the basics, the island's the best basic ever printed. So moving on from that,
the best. Which
one? London. Just islands in general are the best basic. Not from art, just from power level. Cause
okay, I see what you're saying. All right, that's it. We're done.
Well, you want to go over the London Mulligan real quick for those who don't know? Because I feel this is a quick discussion we can have if you're.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the London Mulligan is being implemented with the pre-release and moving forward for Core 2020.
So Friday.
Friday is day 0 for London Mulligan. They've already tested it once
at the Mythic
Championship
and on to MTG.
Yes. So basically, it reads: if you would mulligan, you will always draw 7 cards, but you will then choose from those cards what your mulligan would actually be. So on your first mulligan, you draw 7, and then take one of those cards, put it on the bottom of your library.
Yeah. So if you mulligan
5,
once,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so basically, it's as you said, you draw 7, and then no matter what, and then it's you put one on. You take one card from your hand and put it on the bottom of your library in any order for the number of times you've mulled beforehand.
Yeah.
So if you mulled a 5, you draw 7, put 2 on the bottom.
Yeah. And it basically creates. The idea is to create less non-games of Magic, which I think is absolutely a thing in Limited. When you can become, you draw your opening hand, there's no lands. It's the worst feeling in the world. And just the scry has always kind of been a thing that's been good. Like the Vancouver Mulligan to scry when you mulligan was a good start for certain formats. But for Limited, there's so much more you can do with it. So definitely keep that in mind when you're playing this weekend. I wouldn't let it. I'm going to say no to that. I would not let that impact your building decisions just yet, unless you've got some years of experience under your belt and you know what you're doing when you're building a limited deck. I wouldn't go super crazy and say, well, I can play 15 lands in my limited deck. I would really wait for some good data to come out to support that theory. Stick with 17 lands, call it a day.
I think you can get away with 16 if you've played enough. I might try 16. Or in one, not on the Friday night, but one of the events, I might try 16 depending on how I'm doing.
That's fair.
It depends on the curve as well.
Yeah, I mean deck texture obviously, but I wouldn't let it impact my building decisions. Yeah,
I will say though that I can see mulling a little bit more aggressive. I don't know though, because in limited, right? If I would normally keep a 2-lander. If I had 2 lands and I had a playable turn 1 or turn 2 drop, I'd always keep a 2.
Yeah,
just because but now the mulligan's not so much less risky, but is less risky.
Yeah, it's less. I mean, you're able to keep. You can mulligan looser hands. Like you can mulligan a 2-lander that only has 3 drops.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still have to. I mean, it's still mulliganing. Mulliganing is mulliganing. So like your 7 cards minus 1 could still suck. Like that's still a very real thing.
But it could also just be that, you want 3 lands. You could, mull, and the 7th card is that 3rd land. And you have like a 1, 2, 3, and then 3 lands. You have like a 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, seeing the 7th
like
card,
drop, and you're like, LOL no.
Yeah, seeing a full 7 cards is absolutely the best part of this whole mulligan thing. The impact will be seen when you're not having games where you don't get to play Magic because you draw only 2 lands. Don't see a 3rd and your opponent just crushes you. The London Mulligan will have a wider effect on older formats where combo decks exist and it becomes a real threat to like Modern, where all of a sudden the Neo-formed combo deck or Infect or Hogak Bridge Vine, which hopefully doesn't stick around for much longer, can just kill you on turn 2 because they can sculpt the perfect 5 or 6 card hand, which,
Yeah.
We'll see the implementations, I think, within the next couple of weeks. Right now, I'd say it's a little too early to tell for limited implications.
It is fun, though, that they brought this in with the ley lines in Standard. So that is pretty funny. I think that was definitely...
That's a neat trick that they did. I will agree with that, yeah.
I think just mulling to 5 won't feel nearly as punishing. I feel like mulling to 6 versus mulling to 6 previously will be, like, about the same, but I think 5 and 4, like, I think you'll... I've had it where I've kept no landers or 1-landers on 5 because going to 4 just felt worse.
Oh, because it's impossible.
And I'm on the draw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but now mulling to 4 doesn't mean you lose.
Yeah, because you can still sculpt a functional 4-card hand.
Oh, I have 3 6-drops or whatever. 3 of my bombs.
Yeah, exactly. Or sometimes you just mulligan to 4 and keep 3 lands on a Mortify.
All right, I'm done. Good night, everyone.
Anyway, bad meme stories aside and Ben getting salty. Thank you so much to everybody and Ben for coming and hanging out tonight. I know these are a bit of a longer episodes, but these are a little bit more free-form. Get to dig a little bit more into the context of cards and more than just me saying, if this card is bad, this card is good. So I hope you guys... Yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully, so if you actually catch this show live at Twitch TV/Tasuman, TASUMAN. Hopefully next time we do a podcast, we won't be so scuffed.
Yeah.
And putting it in 15 minutes because
I don't know what the stream actually looks like. Maybe I'll just stream it myself through my own Twitch channel, and it'll look really good.
It probably will.
But anyway, yeah. So I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I put a lot of hard work into these set reviews, so you've got, let's see, today's Tuesday, so you've got 3 days to prep for the pre-release. So go out there, study up on the cards, watch the video a few times. Let me know in the comments, did we get a card wrong? Are we absolutely right on some things? What are you most excited to open? Lots of cool stuff happening in the next couple weeks of Magic, and we'll come back next week and talk about our pre-release experiences and what we are going to see with 2020 moving forward. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel because the YouTube overlords condemn me to say that. So you know how it goes. But thanks again to Ben for coming and hanging out tonight, and everybody else, have an excellent night.